So let's talk about really three potential wingers for this pairing. First one I want to talk about is Ilya Mikheyev. Now, Mikheyev played a lot of the season with Pettersson and Kuzmenko. Remember, Mikheyev only played 48 games. He came with this promise of speed, of great defense, a great penalty kill. And then I think he got injured in the first period of the first preseason game. Like that's the worst. That's like rupturing your Achilles when running into first base. Who on earth would do that? Who on earth would want that? Well, Mikheyev gets hurt in his in the first period of his first preseason game. So somehow he made it through 46 games last season, and he was never 100%. So Ilya Mikheyev, despite being injured, despite playing on a bum knee, played 46 games, and his production was pretty good. 13 goals, 15 assists, so 28 points in those 46 games. In my handy-dandy calculator, to me, that says 0.61 points per game. So that is worthy of a second-line production. So 0.61 points per game. We never saw his true full speed, his explosiveness, but yes, he had a 14% shooting percentage. Contrast that to Kuzmenko, who had a 27% shooting percentage, which like I said, is going to come down. But again, Kuzmenko doesn't take a lot of wasted shots. So Mikheyev, 14% shooting percentage, 17 minutes of ice time, 28 points in 46 games. Why do we like Mikheyev in that spot? Well, I think for a few reasons, not just because he's Russian. So I'm not saying that him and Kuzmenko are going to have instant chemistry because they're from the same nationality. Mikheyev does have a lot of speed first and foremost, whereas Pettersson and Kuzmenko aren't the fastest skaters. They're skilled. They have great hands. They have great vision, hockey IQ. And Petey's lethal when he gets time and space, and he makes his own time and space, but he's never going to burn past someone or burn around someone. And that's where Mikheyev's speed can really help this line. So first and foremost is Mikheyev's speed. Mikheyev doesn't have the best finishing. We've seen that throughout his career. Missed a lot of breakaways. Kind of reminds me of Jannik Hansen, actually. A lot of speed, but maybe not the best hands. But that's where Kuzmenko and Petey come in. So we need Mikheyev to retrieve pucks, neutral zone, offensive zone with this speed, and then get it to the two guys with really good hands in Petey and Kuzmenko. Mikheyev is also strong defensively. His speed has a lot to do with it. So Kuzmenko, not great defensively. Pettersson, really good defensively. Like obviously he's getting some love for Selke eventually. But let's go with Mikheyev's speed also helping them out, especially Kuzmenko on the defensive side. So there are some reasons for Mikheyev. You don't need Mikheyev to be a finisher, although Petey is an excellent passer, right? 39 goals, 63 assists for Petey, whereas Kuzmenko had more goals than assists, 39 goals, 35 assists. So you can see that he was on the receiving end of a lot of Petey passes. Having said that, Mikheyev, decent hands, but not the best. So you don't necessarily need him being the sniper. You don't even need Mikheyev being the setup man. What you need Mikheyev doing is retrieving pucks, defensive zone, neutral zone, and offensive zone, and getting the puck to his skilled line mates. So there we go. That is the argument for Ilya Mikheyev. Carol's asking how many years we have Mikheyev for. 4 more years. We signed him to a 5-year contract, I believe. Yes, we have Mikheyev for 4 more years, and he is at 3 more years, and he's at $4.75 million per season. So that's the case for Ilya Mikheyev. And of course, after the mid-show sponsor read, speaking of sponsors, I see Jason Lim in the chat. Hello, Jason. After the sponsor read, I'm going to get your input as to who you think should be their line mate. Anthony Beauvillier. So, coupled with Mikheyev getting hurt, was the trade Bo Horvat to the New York Islanders for a draft pick for Atu Ratu and for Anthony Beauvillier. Beauvillier played 33 games, so you almost add it up. It's a full season. Mikheyev played 46. Beauvillier played 33. And Beauvillier simply slid into that top line spot with Kuzmenko and with Petey for a lot of the season. So in 33 games, Beauvillier had 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. 20 points in 33 games. Guess what? The exact points per game as Mikheyev had, 0.61. So from a true production standpoint, Beauvillier and Mikheyev did the exact same thing, 0.61 points per game. Now, with Beauvillier, I would argue he's got better hands than Mikheyev. Mikheyev had more goals, but he played a third more games as a Canuck. I'd say Beauvillier had some pretty good hands, and he did a decent job filling in the bumper spot when Horvat left. He scored at least a couple goals from the bumper spot from the middle on the power play. His shooting percentage was 14.3, the exact same as Mikheyev's shooting percentage of 14.3. And Beauvillier had 17 minutes of ice time compared to Mikheyev, who had, well, it's crazy how equal it is. 16:59 for Beauvillier, 16:55 for Mikheyev. So you can see that how Beauvillier basically took Mikheyev's spot on that top line. However, Beauvillier was a -6, whereas Mikheyev was a +3. So there's a bit of a plus-minus difference. And remember, Beauvillier was playing after the trade, so probably with a stronger team, i.e. the team was better under Tocchet than they were under Bruce Boudreau. So what's good about Beauvillier? Well, I don't think his speed is the same as Mikheyev's, so you don't have the same kind of retrieval speed. With Beauvillier, he's got a good hockey IQ. He generally puts himself in the right position, even though he takes not as fast as Mikheyev getting to that position. And I think overall, Beauvillier is a relatively safe player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but also you don't notice him a lot. Yeah, I guess in a good way, because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but I won't say in a bad way, but also he doesn't do something that's super, super exciting, something that just kind of knocks your socks off, or any other clothing you want to talk about. Don't go too far here. It's a PG show. But in general, I think Beauvillier is a safer, less sexy line mate than Ilya Mikheyev. But if you're Rick Tocchet, maybe that's what you want as well. Not as strong as Mikheyev defensively, but maybe a lower risk and maybe a lower reward player. So you can tell I'm not sold on Beauvillier as the line mate for Petey and Kuzmenko. I'm not sure that his play is dynamic enough, but I could be convinced otherwise. So that is a thought about Anthony Beauvillier. And then one other option is Brock Boeser. Now, Brock Boeser, longtime favorite, fan favorite in Vancouver, getting paid a lot more than Beauvillier and Mikheyev. He's in the 6.6, 6.7 range. But, you don't base it on how much a player mates. But Brock Boeser has played with Petey before, has shown chemistry with Petey before, especially on the Lotto line from 2 seasons ago. Now, Brock Boeser's profile, last year he had 18 goals, 37 assists, so 55 points in 74 games. You divide that, and that's a little higher. That's 0.74 points per game. So whereas Mikheyev and Beauvillier were 0.61 points per game, Boeser was a full 13 percentage points higher at 0.74 points per game. A lot of people were kind of down on Boeser because of his goal total of 18, yet he still played some really strong hockey, and he matched his points per game for his career because he had a lot of assists. Now, the thing that sticks out, -20 for Boeser. So Boeser, who played a lot with JT Miller, those two guys were minuses. JT Miller was a -7. Boeser was a -20. So maybe that was a bit of an issue. The two of them maybe not being the best combo. So maybe you get Boeser away from Miller and see how he does on the top line, and just have him having fun again, having fun on the ice. Boeser's shooting percentage was only 10.1, and then his average time on ice was a bit more than the other two guys at 17 minutes of ice time. So why would you try Boeser with Petey and Kuzi? Well, he has chemistry with Pettersson. I think that's the biggest thing. He is a sniper. He takes a little bit. I think he's the best sniper, even though he's got the lower shooting percentage of the three. He's a better sniper than Beauvillier and Mikheyev. He takes a while to get a shot off now, but he's also a good hand-eye. Like, I remember some nice deflections from him last season, some nice battles in the crease. So maybe all Boeser needs is some time with some really skilled players that can get on the puck. Maybe not so much Kuzmenko, but PD could be the setup man for Boeser. JT Miller's a decent passer as well, but also often has a shoot first mentality. So maybe Boeser didn't get a lot of looks, a lot of quality looks playing alongside JT Miller last season. Yeah, you look at the shots. Pettersson had 257 last year, and then Miller was right behind at 223, and no one else had more than 155 shots. So there's a big gap from PD and then Miller all the way down. Well, then you might be saying, oh, Clay, how can you say that Boeser's going to get more opportunity playing with PD than Miller when PD shoots more than Miller? I think PD also, I would, despite PD leading the team in shots, I would argue that he didn't shoot enough sometimes last year, and he was almost being too generous in giving, too unselfish in giving up the puck. So a lot of things I like about Boeser's game: the chemistry he's had with PD, and the fact that he can snipe if he's given enough time. And with PD and Kuzmenko drawing a lot of attention, maybe Boeser does get that time. The cons of Boeser's game: he was poor defensively last year. Although on one hand, he's made strides in his two-way game, I think those strides kind of stopped or hit a peak last year, and we saw that he really struggled with this two-way game. And Boeser's not the best passer. I always talk about that when Boeser passes like a grenade coming off a stick. So PD, Kuzmenko, again, not the best passer either. So I think PD is definitely going to have to be the driver if Boeser plays on that line. So to recap, Mikheyev, pros, fast, retrieve pucks, good defensively. Cons, not the best hands, coming off his injury. And he's not going to finish a lot. Beauvillier, pros, safe player, good hockey vision. Cons, not the fastest, and but a solid, not spectacular player. Boeser, pros, chemistry with PD, best pure sniper of the three. Cons, very poor defensive profile. So there we go.